Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to CSL Texas Hill Country, where we're zooming in from the hill countryside of my home. And we're welcoming everyone here. And this month and I'm Reverend Beth, by the way, and I'm be bringing you the lesson today. And this month, we are following, of course, the tradition of getting back to the basics and to reground our fundamental science of mind tenets. And so we've been doing that each Sunday, and we've been doing it in sort of a unique way as we bring fresh eyes and a new perspective to these life-altering teachings. So let's sit back and look at the week during which we engaged in the grand experiment, which was a couple of weeks ago. Actually, it was a couple of experiments. And our experiments were to test the theory and to build our faith and belief in the idea that there is an infallible law in the universe that works through us. And the first experiment was to set an intention, which we did in the service that week, to experience an unexpected blessing or to receive an unexpected gift within 48 hours of Sunday, and then to have our eyes open so that we were sure to see it. And then experiment 2 was in two 24-hour segments. And the first 24 hours was spent manifesting green cars. And then the next 24 hours was seeing butterflies, or I think we said purple feathers, or something else that you don't normally see. And I understand that last week, when I was not in attendance, that most of you did experience blessings and sightings in unique ways. Well, I received an unexpected gift on the Monday following the Sunday service, and it was sort of a surprise to me, but I was shopping for supplies to take with my sisters and my trip to Port Aransas, and I was given I had wished for this about 2 weeks before, that I have a canvas tote bag for wine. And I received a free wine tote bag when I was shopping for our supplies. So, I mean, that was a little thing, but it was still a blessing. But I forgot to set the intention for seeing green cars on the day that we were driving to Port Aransas, and that would have been a real good, but I forgot to set that intention. And you saw it, you do have to set the intention of what you're wanting to see or manifest. So I wanted to continue with our experiments that coincide with our teachings around the law. And in the Science of Mind, in page 40, Holmes writes this: perhaps the simplest way to state the proposition is to say that we are surrounded by a mind or intelligence that knows everything, that the potential knowledge of all things exists in this mind, that the abstract essence of beauty, truth, and wisdom coexist in the mind of the universe, that we also exist in it and may draw from it. But what we draw from it we must draw through the channel of our own minds. A unity must be established and a conscious connection must be made before we can derive the benefits which the greater mind is willing to reveal or impart to us. The Spirit can give us only what we can take. It imparts of itself only as we partake of its nature. And so the first experiment that we're going to use is called the Siri principle. And of course, you know what Siri is, probably most of you or many of you have used Siri to get information, but Siri is the name of the go-to person for our iPhones, and other devices now have Siri on them. And she responds to our voice commands or asking questions for information. And the owner of the phone, of course, tells it or commands it to do as told. And she responds without question or judgment or argument. Siri responds without question or argument. And like I said, many of you may use Siri even to control the lights in your home or the alarm system. Or I know a lot of you use Siri to play jazz music or whatever. Now, Siri doesn't just have access to her small storage of data. Rather, she has immediate access to a pretty gigantic bank of information called the World Wide Web. But it won't do us any good at all unless we call upon it and unless we do it in a way that aligns with Siri's technology. We have access to infinite wisdom and knowledge in exactly the same way, but we have to access it. And Holmes tells us we access it by making a conscious connection. We call this intuition or inner guidance when we're going through the law. Now, the book that we're using is Pam Grout's E Squared book for the references, and she writes this: where did we ever pick up the foolhardy notion that inner guidance was restricted to a lucky few? A lot of it goes back to those myths we believe about God, that he's oh so mysterious and only on call on Sundays. The part that was left out is that our inner guidance is reliable and constantly available. It's there anytime you choose to listen, and same as CNN's is on anytime you decide to switch on the TV. It's that reliable. And you are free to put it on the spot and to demand clear answers now. So that is what our experiment is going to be. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to spend the next 48 hours expecting a specific, concrete answer to a specific, concrete question. It can be as simple as whether or not to purchase that new appliance or what restaurant to go to for lunch, or it could be more life-altering as whether to adopt an animal companion or move across the country to be with your boyfriend or something in between. But make it something that is troubling you or challenging you, something you are confused about or in an area in which you don't know what to do. Whatever it is, give your inner guidance 48 hours to deliver the answer and send the message that you want the guidance to be crystal clear. But be prepared for the answer. Pam Grout says that when she posed the question, is it time to launch my freelance writing career, her answer came as getting fired from her job. She wrote that in retrospect, it was the perfect answer and perhaps the only way she could actually have heard it. That is your first 48-hour experiment to prove to yourself that, to paraphrase Holmes, we exist in and may draw from a mind or intelligence that knows everything, and that the abstract essence of beauty, truth, and wisdom are ours if we but establish a consciousness, unity, and connection with it. And I'm going to add, and your heart must be open to receive. If you are full of anger and resentment and fear, your heart is not open. So just concentrate on that. So spend the next 48 hours establishing that conscious unity and connection. That's assignment number one. Now, experiment number two is called the abracadabra principle. And most people think of the word abracadabra as a nonsensical word a magician may use before he does a magic trick. Abracadabra. But did you know that it actually is an Aramaic term that translates into English as I will create as I speak? I will create as I speak. It's a pretty powerful idea, but isn't that what we say happens? But Pam Grout in her book writes this: the only reason we don't change water into wine or heal cancer with one touch is because our thoughts are scattered all over the place. Instead of being one constant and aimed tuning fork, our thoughts are more like a junior high band of beginning trumpet players. On one hand, we are praying for things to work out, but on the other, we worry that they won't. At the same time, we imagine a positive outcome. We secretly think optimism is a bunch of baloney. We want to be committed to a relationship with so-and-so, but what if he or she leaves? We want to make money, but didn't the Bible say something about camels and rich people in the eye of the needle? The force, or the law, is literally bouncing off walls. Go this way. No, wait, go that way. It's knocking around like a lightning bug in a mason jar. It's being dissipated because we have no clear head-on bead on what we really want. It's not that the field of potentiality isn't answering our prayers. It's just that we're praying for too many things. Sure, you begged for peace of mind today, but you also spent 1,200 thoughts obsessing about the demand that coworker who stole your website idea. Yes, you made the intention to think and grow rich, but you also devoted 500 thoughts to worrying about your overdue car payment. When you understand prayer for what it really is, it's easier to understand why that one-time plea to God doesn't always pan out. Make a lot of sense, doesn't it? And Holmes writes this in the Science of Mind textbook. Many people begin their treatment in this manner. I know that the principle of intelligence within me will direct me, and etc. Then they complete it with the thought, well, I certainly hope it does. This is entirely forgetting any definite statement and is simply wondering if possibly some good will come along. This is not a correct treatment and is not the scientific use of this principle. Hope is good. It is better than despair, but it is a subtle illusion and is an unconscious compromise and has no part in an effective mental treatment. We should say to doubt, where did you come from? Who is your father? Etc. You have no place in my mind. Get out. I know that the faith within me now neutralizes all doubt. This is the scientific use of mental treatment, and there must be no compromise with the consciousness. So in this abracadabra experiment, you will use nothing but the power of your thoughts to magnetize something specific into your life. More significant than green cars or butterflies, and yet not something that will immediately send your thoughts to, yeah, right, when pigs fly, that will happen. Start with a baby step, something you can get your mind around. The front row theater tickets or maybe flowers. The important part of this treatment, this experiment, is to be laser focused and not let your doubts get in the way. And again, referring to the Science of Mind textbook, when we think, something happens to thought. The field through which thought operates is infinite. There is no reason to doubt it. No matter how it is approached, to thought there can be no limit. So we will say that it is the nature of being to react in this way. Here and now, we are surrounded by and immersed in an infinite good. How much of this infinite good is ours? All of it. And how much of it may we have to use? As much of it as we can embody. We're going to have some fun with rejecting our doubts. I don't know if any of you've seen the old YouTube video of two of Ellen DeGeneres' crew members when they were sent into the Walking Dead zombie haunted house around Halloween. I found that on the YouTube channel. But it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen because the man, and I had downloaded it onto my computer, I'd try to show it to you, but the man who continually hides behind the woman, and when she asks him what he is doing, he says, "I'm protecting you." It screams out to the zombies every time one comes out of the dark, "Stop it now." And so when a doubtful thought comes into your consciousness, you're going to say, stop it now, okay? And if you haven't seen the video, you can't help but get a chuckle out of it. So maybe you'll chuckle at yourself when you're saying this. But then you can return your focus to what you're saying. Abracadabra, to remember creating with your word. Abracadabra means creating with your word. So those are the two experiments for this week so that you can experience the law and how it works. But testing the Siri principle, you're by opening up to inner guidance on a specific issue, and then testing the abracadabra principle by setting your intention to experience or manifest something specific for yourself. Those are the two principles. And in these experiments, we're training our mind, our thoughts, because we know that a trained thought is much more powerful than an untrained thought. And because trained thought can stay true to the truth of our being, regardless of conditions and circumstances, much better than untrained thought. But we must develop it. It takes practice to develop it. And we must be in training, just like the body must be in training to be strong. And it takes spiritual discipline, which develops strength to stay with it through whatever may occur in life. So those are your principles. And I would like to introduce you to a new resource that I stumbled upon after I had written the lesson out this week. And it's entitled, I belong to mindvalley.com, and it was an author that was presenting her book, Speaking with Spirit, 52 Prayers to Guide, Inspire, and Uplift You. And that's by, and I can't say her last name, but it's Agape Stassinopoulos, if I can say that right. But she's, her sister is Adriana Huffington, by the way. And she said she wrote this book during the COVID pandemic when they were isolated. And and she uses spirit, her intuition on a daily basis. What she says prayers to ignite her intuition morning and evening on a daily basis, and that she lives based on the information that she receives from spirit, more than what she receives from her functional mind, because she says that every day we're faced with choices that we have to make about our lives, whether it's health, finances, relationships, homes, work, kids, even what we're having for dinner. And she suggests not making any decision without Spirit's input. And she strongly recommends that, and she lives by that. And not only her, but many of the spiritual leaders are saying that that is the purpose of this pandemic that we've gone through, is to learn to be in touch with Spirit more and base our lives on spiritual guidance. But it also denotes that it takes courage to take that first step toward this unknown presence, not knowing when we ask if anything will be there to meet us or if we will be left hanging alone. But I assure you that if you dive into your heart and then from that deep place ask to be led, you will be guided by the Spirit that lives inside of you. I guarantee it. Let go and let God. And so it is.